Good morning, friends. Welcome back to Astrology Today and Tarot with Melrose. This is the Tarot portion and the second half of my daily astrology reading, which you can find on my other channel called Astrology Today with Melrose. The idea behind the tarot portion is to provide some further insight into ongoing and current energies based on the day's astrology and tarot influences. First, I'll discuss that tarot card that sits on the left-hand side of the page. Then I'll do a quick review of the day's astrology before playing another card that may give us something more to think about. So let's get into it. The tarot card that currently sits on the side of the page is the Ten of Swords. Ten of Swords represents astrologically the last 10 days of the sun's transit through Gemini. So Gemini being an air sign and swords being air in the tarot are all about how we use our thoughts and our words, how we make our plans, right? And really there's an element to it in tarot that's like how we make our plans has a lot of power. So, pay attention to the way you use your words, right? Against yourselves, against other people, or on the behalf of yourself or another person. So this is the Ten of Swords, and the Ten of Swords marks a betrayal, right? This is clearly somebody who is laying down flat with 10 swords sticking out of their back. It's quite a deflated feeling, to say the very least. And, that's a surprise. When somebody stabs you in the back, that's a surprise. That's not something that you probably saw coming, or maybe you wondered if it was coming right before it did, right? But it's unexpected, and it happens so fast, and you can't avoid encountering the problem, and you can't avoid dealing with it, with the fallout from it. Okay, so things beyond our control have left us, out of the loop. So, out of the loop happens though because we've come to the end of the loop. We've come to the end of the cycle, right? So this is an ending of something. For one thing, you know who you can and cannot trust at this point, or at least you know who you cannot trust, and you can, put down probably a whole bunch of bothersome people, at the end of this, tragedy, this betrayal, this sort of defeat. And I'm not talking about a physical attack, of course. I'm talking about people have somehow either used their thoughts, plans, and words against you, or they've used your thoughts, plans, and words against you. And in the end, you wind up sort of out of the group, basically. So leave some people behind. Think of it as an opportunity to, cut dead weight, people who are just going to drag you down, right? And attend your wounds, acknowledge that you've experienced this loss. You thought these people were your friends, or you thought they were good coworkers, or you thought, in some way, maybe you even thought that you were a better friend to yourself. And you can acknowledge that, you can acknowledge the loss, but after you've tended your wounds, there's a golden horizon here. The clouds don't stay forever, and you can get up and just start walking toward the sunshine and get a new idea, a new plan, create some new collaborations, and see what you can do better next time. And with all of that said, I'm going to go ahead and mix up some cards while I remind myself and the cards that the sun is in Gemini, and so is Mercury. So the sun is in Gemini just for a few more days now, through the 21st, when we have summer solstice, which is, our high point for the sun's peak influence during the year. It is one of the 8 celebrations of the wheel of the year. So summer solstice, this is a time when we really celebrate by socializing, by being around people we like and love, people that we want to spend our time with. I know a lot of people are going out to concerts this year and stuff like that, enjoying being out more than they used to while COVID was in effect. So it was nice to start sort of getting out. And this is the time of year to be doing that. This is the sun's peak influence. It's about the outer life. It's about how we express ourselves out in those spaces where we're dealing with people who are not our close loved ones. So, Sun in Gemini with Mercury in Gemini, so much idea sharing, so much sharing of information, so much listening, so much telling, and so much just creating things with our creative intellects out of the stuff we have found out. And that's a great thing to celebrate, having that intellect and that ability to really, plan and collaborate and make things happen. The moon is the inner life, and the moon is in the sign of Aquarius right now. Forgive me. And it's a waning gibbous at this time. So it's a waning gibbous in the sign of Aquarius. And sign of Aquarius really is about the general good. It's about doing things a little more scientifically. It can have a little bit of a rebellious vibe to it because sign of Aquarius is a little futuristic. It complements, advanced technology and communications and sciences and stuff like that. But it's also just interested in what's good for everybody. What is the rising tide that lifts all boats? What can we do that will contribute to, the security and well-being of all people? Because that's what we deserve, no matter what. And in the moon phase, waning gibbous, the moon is really about sort of a little bit of a space to relax while we look back on how we culminated our goals last month to the full moon, and how that went for us, what we would like to do better. And also the moon in Aquarius at this time with that waning gibbous, I think it's a good time as we're contemplating how things went before, contemplate what the collaboration was like getting to that point. And if you haven't been collaborating with somebody, maybe find someone you can collaborate with, because two people can just get more done than one person. Right? Or 7 people can get a lot more done. So consider collaboration for the next month. It's not a demand, it's just a request. And then on the moon side of the page today, in the feeling life, in the inner life, we have moon sextile Jupiter and moon sextile Mars today. We're sharing good times and being good company, although that's very early in the morning. It's a great feeling vibe to start off the day. And then this evening, kind of almost late this evening, moon sextile Mars is like we're competitive and cooperative, but this is a really sexy vibe right here. This is really your feelings are a little bit assertive and physical, and this cooperative vibe here says we can work together with somebody to express those feelings in a sort of physical and assertive way. So good luck to you in that. And then moon square Uranus comes up a little bit before that, about an hour before that, and that's more of a jumpy, sort of excitable vibe, a little too excitable, right? It can be a little too impulsive with that square. We have impulses to do things that other people won't find agreeable. So it's kind of a message here that says, hey, if you can bring your impulses under control, if you can sort of contain your excitement about something, then you'll get an opportunity to actually share with somebody, and that's pretty awesome. On the sun side of the page, in the ongoing column, Mars is conjunct to Chiron 2 more days, just through the 19th. Mars and Chiron are both in Aries, and they would appear to be overlapping in the sky, and that amplifies the effects of both. Okay, so they're sort of under pressure, or they are sort of brighter than usual, a little louder than usual, a little more insistent, their energies, than usual. So Chiron in Aries really seeks to fit in culturally, and really thinks about those wounds that we have, those sort of inner wounds that we have, those sort of Pluto wounds that we have regarding, our feelings of not being fit in, the time somebody teased us, or the time somebody left us out, or the time 10 people stabbed us in the back, right? So this is about healing social wounds. And Mars is here saying, Chiron says, well, we just want to be able to be ourselves. And then Mars comes in here and says, well, then why don't you? Let's do it. Let's get dressed in the wildest, funkiest outfit that we have because we like it. We like the way it makes us feel. We like the way it makes us look. And let's go out and, flaunt our stuff a little bit. And that's great because it's Pride, folks. I can really feel this energy coming through, in a very direct, bold, assertive, fun-loving sort of way. So yeah, get out there and be yourself. Enjoy yourself. Remember, of course, the consent of others. But if it's just about wearing something or participating in something you wouldn't normally do because you're afraid of what people think when they see you, this one asks you to throw caution to the wind and just do it, right? Conjunct almost compels us to somehow show who we are. So that's in an active way. So that's the guidance there. Mercury trine Pluto is with us through the 19th of June. And Mercury trine Pluto is this blessed window of insight we have had. Our rational mind can see what's going on in our gut and in our heart and in the back of our mind. Our rational mind can notice the fears and insecurities that are coming up as we go through changes, which we all are. And because the rational mind has been able to see those fears and insecurities, we've been able to address them, right? Think about them in a conscious way, talk about them with other people, and make a plan even for how we're going to deal with those fears and insecurities when they arise, at other times. That trine is really a blessing from on high. It just says, yes, work on this. Think about it. Give it your attention. Don't push it aside. Give it your attention. Give it some expression. Give it some daylight, right? So that we can come up with a good solution for how to feel comfortable being ourselves. The new self we're becoming, right? So the more refined version of ourselves we are becoming. And then Sun yesterday went trine to Saturn and square to Neptune, and that's bringing up this conversation again. We had it with the Moon the other day. We're gonna have it with Venus on Saturday, and then Mercury a little bit longer, a little further out. This is like a blessed time to be moving forward with whatever kind of work, whatever kind of outer life goals you have that establish and build something for yourself, right? That is what that's about. And that trine is there to say whatever you do is going to bring you back even better benefits than you think initially that it is. But then the Sun goes square to Neptune on the same day, and Sun square Neptune is extremely demotivating. It just takes your hopes and dreams and flushes them, right? So, don't let Sun square Neptune flush your dreams down the toilet. Okay, we have to exercise some perseverance at this time. We have to really think about our reasons for being engaged in the pursuits that we're engaged in, for trying to do what it is we're trying to do in the world, all right? So we have to think about that because we have this blessing where the actions we take are really going to help give us better returns. So, when we feel demotivated, we have to remember that blessing is there and, stick to what is tried and true. Keep doing it. Keep going, Saturn, keep going. Neptune can make things a little murky. We can feel a little bit confused at a time like that. But, if you know what your plan is and you keep your eyes on the plan and you keep your eyes on the work, those blessings will come along. Pluto is retrograde through the 8th of October, and Pluto retrograde turns all the endings and beginnings toward the inside of our lives. So we're all going through endings and beginnings. We've had this blessing of insight into what those might be, or what the fears and insecurities are, at least, that are coming up in response to those endings and beginnings, so that we can have a better sense of self-expression. So great that we're going through that. But understand that you're not alone. It feels like it's happening on the inside, so it feels like it's so personal, but it's really happening to everyone, or to a lot of us at least. All of us are either consciously or unconsciously transforming right now. Saturn is also retrograde, and Pluto is in Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is in Aquarius, which is ruled by Saturn. So, this is very much about our sense of stability in the world, right? Sort of in review, under inspection, and perhaps shifting, perhaps, undergoing a renovation of our foundations, to be honest. And, Saturn really asks us at this time to think about, what it is foundationally in our hearts that we rely on, that when, that isn't fair to other people. Okay, Saturn is in Aquarius, all right. So it's about really trying to lift things up for everybody, to lift everybody out of poverty, to lift everybody up to a point where they feel secure and they have all of their needs and desires met. So that's what Saturn in Aquarius is about doing. So, in our hearts, if we know that we're relying on some old system, some old idea or disposition, or some old, I don't know, privilege, then that is to the detriment of another person, that for some reason drags them down, gives them less power in the world, impoverishes them more, then I've got to examine that, and I've got to find a way to get the feeling I need from that of satisfaction, that the support I need, without it being a problem for somebody else, without it impoverishing another person. All right, and I said a mouthful, so now I'm just going to go ahead and turn this card over. That is really strange. Well, we just got the Eight of Cups yesterday. So, somebody who watches is mourning a loss. Somebody who watches has been coming to the end of a cycle. And there are a lot of thoughts coming up, okay? I'm going to call this 8, 9, and 10 of Swords at this time, like self-sabotaging thoughts, perhaps to the point where we're allowing other people to think and say bad things about us, or, unfair things about us, or, and also just using that stuff against ourselves. So, end of a cycle, and we still are sort of full of the anger and spite that people have directed at us. We're still full of the judgment that people have directed at us. And we feel emotional about it. We feel like we gave a lot to a situation, and we did. And that what we got from it maybe was not to our best benefit. Maybe this is like 2 sadnesses in a row, even, sort of when it rains it pours, right? Maybe it's like 2 losses in a row, even. Gemini, these things come in pairs sometimes, and that's no bullshit. So, in both cases, I want to remind you, you're dealing with a resource that is infinite. And, you're dealing with, your infinite bottomless cup of love and creative juice that comes up, and you're also, gifted with an infinity of the air we breathe, the ideas and the thoughts and the original ideas we can have, and that kind of intellectual creativity. And it's almost like now we've come to this point of loss, right? We still have a lot to say about it, or we still think about it a lot, and we're still feeling it pretty heavily. And perhaps it's, because it's the end of a cycle, perhaps, or we're coming to the end of a cycle, perhaps it's time to find a way to express what happened from our own perspective. Express, our experience and express how we feel about it and express what we think about it, in such a way that we know that once we have expressed it well, we'll be able to put it down, right? Let's not carry this weight if we don't have to, at a time when we can have, good times with good company. Like, we don't want to be feeling this way when, everybody is celebrating and we want to be celebrating too. But it's got a very Pluto feel to it, doesn't it? Pluto retrograde endings on the inside, endings, okay? But after endings come beginnings. That's why we put it in that order. We don't, beginnings do not necessarily come before endings. Endings and beginnings go together in pairs. So remember that, and remember that an ending is an ending. And, yes, it's appropriate to mourn loss, and yes, it's appropriate to give yourself time to feel better, but it's also appropriate to, give yourself opportunities to feel better, right? Give yourself opportunities to trust new people, or give yourself opportunities to trust yourself a little bit better. Give yourself opportunities to trust your choices a little bit. But I think there's a story that wants to be told here. That's really coming up for me. So if somebody here is at the end of a cycle, we're coming to the end of the cycle and really going through it in terms of their thoughts and emotions, there's a way to express this in a way that you'll be able to get past it. And I'm not demanding that you do it right this minute, because I think they're otherwise a pretty celebratory vibe with some little seriousness down in here, right? But we want to find a way to express it. And we want to do that for our own peace of mind and our own peace of heart, okay? Not just because, not out of spite, we're not building a new sword out of the swords that people put in our back, all right? We're not going to stack these cups in the same way again, right? We have to create something beautiful and new out of our experience. I believe that's all I have to say about it today, friends. Thank you so much for joining me. I truly appreciate your presence with me. My name is Mel Rose, and I'll see you all back here tomorrow for more Astrology Today and Tarot.